In today's video, I'm going to be having a look at a new run of lockdowns occurring in China. We're also going to be having a look at what President Xi has said about vaccines. From there, we're going to move on to SoftBank's Vision Fund, and then a quick look at Moderna and their recent rise in stock price. Hello and welcome to another ACY Securities Market Update. My name is Alistair Schultz and I'm going to be a host through today's trading journey. Now, as always, I tend to give a little bit of a virus update. At the moment, we have more than 4.8 million infections globally. We've seen over 318,000 deaths so far, and we have more than 1.7 million patients who have recovered from COVID-19. Now, moving on from that, I did mention before about a new set of lockdowns occurring. The Jilin province in China has had 34 new infections in little clusters across the province. Unfortunately, that means that they've had to put extreme measures of lockdown with an estimated 108 million people back into restricted movements around the country. This is proving out to show that they're having schools, trains, buses all being closed for the time being. People that in buildings where we are seeing infections occur, they're being restricted to having one person from the household being able to travel to grocery stores and get the essentials. Naturally, we were expecting this sort of stuff to happen. A second wave with even harder restrictions than we first saw in place is not going to be an uncommon sight in the near future. Naturally, we have to try and contain these as much as possible, but this is proving to be the first case that we can really observe and see how it's going to play out from here. The first wave that we saw with COVID-19 got out of control. So hopefully we can see that with the extreme measures that China is taking now in the Jilin province will mean that it will be contained very, very quickly, and hopefully those lockdowns will ease just as quickly as they went on. Now, from there moving on, there's been a lot of tension going on between China and much of the rest of the world. President Xi has recently had a WHO meeting and at the assembly he spoke. And while he was there, he was saying that vaccines, should they become available and that we got one that was approved for human trials, that they would put all the efforts into development and deployment of these vaccines to get them around the globe as quickly as possible and for a fair cost as well. So hopefully this means we might see some of the tensions and some of the blame game that's been going on start to ease a little bit. Naturally, Australia and Europe are still pushing for an independent investigation, and China has been pushing back pretty hard about having one of those occur. So it will be important to see how this really does help settle down some of those rising tensions that have been occurring in recent weeks. Having a look at SoftBank and their Vision Fund more specifically, they've turned a $100 billion fund into a $69 billion fund in a very short period of time. The biggest contributors to this have really been WeWork and Uber. SoftBank's Vision Fund has really gone into this social sharing sort of ride service and variety of other sort of social sort of enterprises and unicorn startups as they call them. But unfortunately, the virus has really hit them where it hurts. Most of the stuff that was being invested in via the Vision Fund was being found to be stuff that has been dramatically affected by the lockdowns and stopping people from actually being able to use the services. Naturally, some of these little startups are doing other things to try and build that back up. But for now, it's meant that there's been a very big loss on the SoftBank side of things with more than $30 billion so far. They have already started investing in other places to try and boost the fund back up again, but this is going to take some time. So it will be interesting to see how it goes. SoftBank is obviously one of the biggest banks. We have Jack Ma sitting on the board, but apparently he is now also going to be stepping down. So we are going to have to keep an eye on what goes on and how there's going to be a change of leadership within the internals of this organization. Now, moving on from that, we've heard from Moderna. They are a pharmaceutical company and they have been working on a new vaccine for COVID-19. They've recently just conducted phase 1 trials, which they really didn't have too many people involved in it, but regardless of that, they've been able to show that antibodies are being developed that can actually fight off COVID-19. Now, if you remember what happened with Gilead Sciences Incorporated, they had similar sort of things happen. And what we're really seeing right now is that a lot of these drugs that are coming out to try and be either a vaccine or something that will try and help with the recovery of COVID-19 are not making it past the phase 3 trials. So the next start is where we're at is the phase 2. The price of Moderna is obviously going to be affected should we see them fail any of the other trials along the way. We haven't heard much from Gilead Sciences Incorporated since they had their last failure on the COVID-19 drug to help with recovery. Hopefully we do see some good news when it comes to the vaccine on Moderna. Interestingly enough though, just over 2 months ago, Moderna's stock price was only about $20. Currently, it's sitting at about $80, and at the rise in price that we saw, which was nearly a 30% rise overnight for them in the recent week, it went above $88 from about $69. So that is a bit of a big jump that we're seeing there. We're seeing a lot of movements, and we need to be careful about how we look at investing in some of these pharmaceutical companies at the moment. Some interesting news that did come across my desk earlier this morning was that many of the people that are involved in making the drug and those who actually have investment already in Moderna have been selling off their stock quite quickly, which would also put some speculation as to why that's happening if the vaccine is going to be going all the way through. You wouldn't want to just let it close out at that point. So hopefully it does come out with some more good news coming along that way, but until then, we're not going to know for certain. In the news ahead, we have quite a bit of development going on for today. We have G7 meetings occurring all day. We also have UK unemployment figures coming out. The big one to look for there is going to be the climate change counts. So that's going to imply what the difference is between last time. The number is set to rise, at least that's what the expectations are right now as a forecast, but hopefully we don't see too much change. I don't think that we're going to see the data encapsulating the recent easing of UK lockdown restrictions. So please be aware of that. It is a lagging indicator, so it's not likely to show better results there. On top of that, we've also got tonight, we have US Chair from Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaking. So that's at about 1 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And he will be testifying to a few different things likely to be on the economy. Now, this week, you may have seen him actually be in an interview with 60 Minutes, and he did make a statement there last week, which has had a bit of a high impact. So considering the nature of his last two reports, I would anticipate that this one is likely going to move markets a little bit as well. If there's anything from today's video that you want to get in contact with me about, feel free to shoot me an email at talk2al@acy.com. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get more great content from me and ACY Securities in the future. Have a great trading day ahead.